Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Rundown. We're back on this channel course about Stockport County. It's been a quiet week. It's been quite a few weeks actually since the season course finished. But I'm sure, and I keep saying this, I'm sure we'll have more news to talk about in the next few weeks as we are getting closer to pre-season. I'm sure we'll start to get to see signings come through. And to be fair, we thought we nearly had one through the door today. Of course, County on Twitter earlier put in a crown emoji. And then leaving it for 10 minutes as they usually do, hyping up something. A lot of people speculate in the comments what that might be to do with. And then, of course, they come back 10 minutes later with the news that Dave Challinor has signed a new 3-year deal, which has been interesting because I think some people were disappointed that it wasn't a new signing. Some people saying it's the best signing we'll make all, this summer. And I think it's an interesting one because, I'll be honest, my initial opinion was, I hope it, I wonder what kind of a signing it's going to be. And then when I see that it's not a signing, it's in fact just the contract extension of the current manager, I was a tiny little bit disappointed, but that's just because in my mind I've already taken into account we've got Dave Challinor as manager for this season coming up, but then straight away you've got to look at it and go, actually, like I say, this is the most important signing we'll make this summer because without him we can't make anything happen. We can't sign players without having that guarantee that he's going to be the manager in the dugout this season. So it's a huge signing for County, and I think it lays down the foundations for the signings that will go on to make this summer. So it is, as I say, and I think other people said it, the biggest signing we'll make this summer. Even if it isn't necessarily a player, which we're hoping to see, it is really big news. And in some ways, as I say, it's better news than a player coming in because without this, you can't have players coming through the door without necessarily being able to guarantee who the manager is. But let's get into quickly what Stockport County have said. Of course, following on from that crown emoji at 6 o'clock, I think it was roughly. Stockport County put out on X to say that County is delighted to announce that manager Dave Challinor signed a new 3-year deal with the club, extending his time at Edgeley Park until the summer of 2028. Cheers, thank you. And if we have a quick look at the statement as well, I'm sure most of you have probably read it on the club website now. Of course, the headline is Dave Challinor or DC agrees a new deal at Edgeley Park. Stockport County is delighted to announce that manager Dave Challinor signed a new 3-year deal with the club, extending his time in the Hatters until the summer of 2028. I think we just read that bit. Since joining the club from Hartlepool in November 2021, Challinor has gone on to become one of the most successful managers in Stockport County history, guiding us to 2 league titles during his time at Edgeley Park, as well as 2 playoff campaigns. I mean, look, he's been absolutely fantastic, hasn't he? And in my opinion, he is possibly the best manager in the Football League. Certainly below the Championship in a way, in my mind. He's certainly one of the best in the Football League. And I'm surprised that more teams haven't made, bigger attempts to try and get a hold of him. I'm sure there's been little bits of interest in him from other clubs, but nothing major. And at any point have we been seriously panicked that we thought he was going to move on? Touch wood, it's not happened yet. So that does surprise me in some ways, but he's not been as sought after as someone who's achieved what he's achieved. You sort of would have thought would have been. But it's just one of those things. I'm not gonna have a problem with it if other clubs aren't realising the fantastic manager we have at the moment, then that's their problem. Actually, it's a good thing for County that we're going under the radar. No one's really talking about us. No one's really sort of picking up on some of the players, some of the manager, some of the backroom staff we've got at the club, and the successes, and the sort of the wonders they're working at the club. If other clubs aren't going to notice that, that's not a problem for County. If anything, it sort of puts us in a sort of better position. But yeah, like I say. He goes on to say as well, the gaffer has overseen 207 games during his time in charge so far, winning 114 of them, giving him the second highest win percentage of any permanent manager in the club's history, behind only Lincoln Hyde in 1926 to 1931. And obviously, like I say, you can read the rest of that statement on the club website. But of course, it's been a massively successful period of time. And as I say, arguably, the club's most successful ever manager. That's a debate that I think you guys can have in the comments. But like I say, we'll go straight to what Sam Wilson's had to say, club CEO, of course. He said, "We are delighted to have Dave extended his stay at the club again for his 3rd consecutive contract here. Without question, I believe we have the best manager in the division, but more importantly, a top person who is uncompromising in his desire to fulfil the vision of the club on and off the pitch. We continue to work very well together and have great trust with whatever challenges are laid in front of us. Together with our fantastic staff and a growth mindset, we will find a way of overcoming them." And this is what Dave Challinor had to say as well upon signing a new 3-year deal. He said, "I'm delighted to extend my stay at the club beyond the end of the upcoming season. Last season gives me even more motivation to improve and aim to meet the shared objectives we have. I'm still highly ambitious and feel that what we have built here over the last 3.5 years makes County somewhere that I want to continue to build alongside my staff, players and everyone involved at the club. A manager's tenure at any football club is getting shorter and shorter, and I feel proud to have been at Edgy Park for as long as I have. That comes from the trust placed in me by Mark and Simon to come in and have a positive impact, and I thank them both for that. We've had great success, excitement, ups and the odd downs over this period. Next season will undoubtedly be tougher than the last, and we have to continue to develop and move forward as a club year on year, but we still remain positive, and together we can achieve what we all want, and importantly, what the original plan was: Championship football. And of course, Stockport County were very, very close to Championship football last season, just missing out on the automatic places by, I think it was around 5 points in the end. Of course, didn't quite get over the line during the playoffs as well. Unfortunately, I do have to remind myself of that. Unfortunately, I do. But basically, yeah, County put themselves in a really strong position, and for the first year back in League One, it was an incredible season. We did, unbelievable things really, and considering that we lost Louis Barry in the second half of the season, we still managed to find a way. And as I say, I've said a few times, some of the statistics sort of show us to be better off without Louis Barry in that side. Now, my argument would be that the club got more settled, the team got more settled over the second half of the season, and therefore that's why we started to be a bit more rounded as a team. Also, as well, with Louis Barry, we were probably looking to pass to him too often. We were probably over-reliant on him a little bit. And actually, we found a way to play without Barry in that sort of second half of the season. And that's why we probably, as I say, became more rounded as a side. But I still think we're a stronger team with Louis Barry in that side. I just think we'd have to find ways to not be as reliant on him. But I think with options like Fevrier on the right, sort of opening up the play a little bit more, Norwood becoming a little bit more of a mainstay in the team, a little bit, sort of getting a bit more importance in the side as well. I still think if you add Louis Barry to that team in the second half of the season, County do get promoted. So it's fine margins, and that's how close we were to getting to the Championship in the season just gone. I'm incredibly positive that County can actually achieve promotion to Championship in this upcoming season, and even more so by the fact that Dave Challinor's put pen to paper on a new 3-year deal, because some people are a little bit unsure at the moment, or we've not signed anyone yet. There's a bit of panic. There's no panic from me, because at the end of the day, it's still early on in the transfer window, and there's not that many changes we really have to make. Of course, some players have left the club already, and some players will probably still go on to leave the club. But I do believe that there's a plan in place to replace those players. But I also understand as well, we're at a point now where we're trying to get better than what we've got, so that's not going to come easy. There's no point signing players which are not as good as the players we're looking to replace. So that's going to mean looking for better players. And of course, there is a budget issue with County, because we can't go around chucking around money in the same way that some other clubs have done and will continue to do. So I'm confident, but also, as like I say, the fact that he's signed a new deal makes me even more confident, because he's not putting pen to paper on a new 3-year deal if he thinks it's going to be a difficult summer in the transfer window for Stockport County. So the fact he's put pen to paper on a new 3-year deal, that tells me that he's been promised something big this summer transfer window. That might be Ethan Pye staying. That might be actually Ethan Pye's going to stay. We're going to keep hold of him for another year, and we're going to manage to bring in this player and that player. Put it this way: he's not signing a new 3-year deal. He's basically locked in for the next 3 years now to end up in a position where it's going to be, as I say, a difficult summer. So the fact he signed a new deal, that tells me, without him saying it, it's going to be a strong summer for Stockport County. That is probably what we're going to need, because we do need to replace players like Horsfall, of course, who have moved on. Ibi Toure, of course, is going to need replacing. Now that he's gone, we do need another left back, potentially two, depending on what happens with Rydell. We do need at least one new right back, if not two, depending on what happens with Southam Hales. We're still waiting to hear back on what he's doing with his future. Of course, Fraser Horsfall speaks for itself. He, of course, needs replacing. Brad Hills was only on loan. He's gone back. We need to replace that kind of a position, because at the moment, as I say, with Horsfall leaving and Hills going back to Norwich, it does leave us a little bit light in terms of quality in the centre-back position, but I am confident we'll sort it. I'm confident in the goalkeeping department. I think we're strong there. Hinchliffe for another year or two. Adai as well. We really stepped up in the second half of the season. Of course, Camp signed a new deal as well. That midfield might need a little bit of strengthening here and there, maybe one or two players in the midfield, depending on who goes out. But as I say, I've said before as well, Moxon, came in January. I'm expecting a strong season from him, and hopefully, a strong pre-season, which will give him that sort of foundation to have a good season. And then, as I say, Fevrier was getting into the team as well, sort of second half of the season, end of the season, looking really strong in that position. Jack Diamond as well. So, I could go on, Anderson. So there's a lot of reasons to be confident with the existing players in this squad. But of course, we do need to sign a few players, and I'm confident we will do that. But I think this is just a short one to say we've got possibly the biggest signing this summer, and that is Dave Challinor signing a new 3-year deal. So I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below on this one. What's your reaction to the news that he has put pen to paper on a new 3-year deal? How confident are you that County can achieve promotion to the Championship in this upcoming season? And what are your thoughts on the transfer window? How confident are you that we'll get the players in that we need to take us to the Championship? Do you think we'll see any big departures? Are there any sort of names that you think will come in through the door for County this summer as well? Want to get your thoughts on that one, of course, or in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you are new, and as always, thanks for watching.